It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Hello. Episode number 67 of the Carson Show podcast, the Rob Carson Show podcast. Oh, my goodness. Hope you're doing well. I'm recording this podcast on April the 7th, by the way, the day after Donald Trump committed 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles to an air base where they were launching sorties containing chemical weapons in Syria. I didn't realize that Donald Trump was a Chiefs fan because he did the Tomahawk chop. It's really popular here. It's a big deal. By the way, these missiles, 59 of them. I don't know why the odd number. Who knows? Maybe it's like what they pricing when you're at the grocery store. Nothing is ever $4. It's always $3.99. Maybe it's more impactful if you only do 59 instead of doing 60. Maybe that could be part of it. Who knows? But anyway, 59 of these missiles, they apparently cost $800,000 a piece. So not very expensive. So if you look at it, let me see if I get my calculator here. Hold on. Got my calculator on my phone. About the only thing I use as far as an app on the phone. Let's do 59 times 88,000, 88,000 equals $51,920,000, which is a little bit less than how much Donald Trump's last wedding cost. That's so it's really not a big deal to him. It really didn't, it's not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money to him. But these things were launched last night, and apparently they were fired at the El Sharat military field. And the thing is, these things, and we've heard of Tomahawk cruise missiles. They're actually pretty remarkable. They were fired from the destroyers, the USS Ross and the USS Porter. And these things have pinpoint accuracy up to 1,500 miles away. All right? Destroyers their location is kept a secret. They're believed to be off the coast of Turkey or Cyprus, about 150 to 200 miles away from El Sharat. So I had heard several people were killed, like 6 people were killed. It looks like Syrian military said at least 7 people were killed, 9 wounded in the U.S. strike. And I've heard that it had been actually toned down a bit. Now, the interesting thing also about the entire operation, which I think is pretty remarkable. We'll get some audio, some reactions of people, a little bit of audio from the president last night. They gave the heads up to the Russian military 30 minutes before the strike. Made no contact with Putin, right? Rex Tillerson says that Moscow is complicit in the chemical attacks. So, and also, by the way, Syria claims it knew America was about to launch airstrikes hours before the attack on its airbase. And by the way, a few hours before the attacks last night, Hillary Clinton said, we need to attack and this just to me sounded like she knew something, that she knows something, because she echoed what the U.S. delivered a couple of hours later. And apparently also, and I don't know if this is a reaction or it was meant to be some sort of a provocative action, but Vladimir Putin has made his move after condemning Trump's illegal airstrike, and a Russian battleship is positioned between the U.S. warships, and he's moved a frigate toward the warships that launched the attacks. By the way, Piers Morgan, who actually I like a lot more now that he left CNN, he says that Trump was right to bomb Assad. If the evil gassing of children isn't justification for giving the perpetrator a bloody nose, then what is? And I don't think they'll be launching any more of these attacks in the very near future. If you would like to comment on it, you can write me, carsonontheradio@gmail.com. And, of course, check out my Facebook page. It is at Rob Carson Show, Facebook at Rob Carson Show. And then the website is robcarsonshow.com. This is an interesting time and an interesting thing to do from a president who called out during the debates, the presidential primary debates, Jeb Bush for his brother dragging us into a war. And a lot of people are saying, hey, what? What's going on with that? Well, this isn't a war. This is a surgical move in reaction to one base where these American intelligence had gathered that these sorties just a few days before were launched, and they dropped chemical weapons on civilians. Now, the president was talking about it last night. I've got a little report. I believe this is from NBC News about this, and you could tell that the president was deeply impacted by the sight of children being treated and some dying from this attack. Here's a little bit from the NBC report with the president talking last night about the Tomahawk cruise missile launch.
Dispute that Syria used banned chemical weapons, violated its obligations under the Chemical Weapons Convention, and ignored the urging of the UN Security Council.
The president made no mention of Moscow, but his Secretary of State did, calling the Kremlin, quote, complicit or simply incompetent in its ability to follow through on a 2013 deal to get chemical weapons out of Syria. And for President Trump, a striking shift. In 2013, he repeatedly warned the Obama administration to stay out of Syria. Just last week, his own administration called the Assad regime a political reality.
I think the status and the longer term status of President Assad will be decided by the Syrian people.
Now, a reversal.
Now, you don't want to show your cards, kids. All right, this was maybe not a reversal. I'm thinking this probably was a way to divert attention away from it. You know, Barack Obama telescoped when the United States is going to be leaving Iraq, and that allowed the ISIS forces to settle in and wait it out. That's why they rose after we left. A little bit more from the report, including, by the way, Hillary Clinton mirroring what the Trump administration did just hours before.
After the attack, the children struggling to breathe seemed to horrify the president.
Even beautiful babies were cruelly murdered in this very barbaric attack.
And former rival Hillary Clinton, who said this about Assad just hours before the airstrike.
I really believe that we should have and still should take out his airfields and prevent him from being able to use them to bomb innocent people and drop sarin gas on them.
Still, on Capitol Hill, concern from some about why the president didn't consult with Congress first.
It does concern me that we not have an impulsive administration that is ready to completely change direction, that isn't necessarily thinking through what are all the consequences.
Okay. Barack Obama repeatedly called in military strikes, whether it be against ISIS, whether against Osama bin Laden, without the approval of Congress. In 2014, U.S. ships launched 47 Tomahawk missiles during the night, first night of strikes against ISIS in Syria. These missiles were launched, and the Congress was not given the information about it. So please, let's stop with the double standard here. Let's stop with the double standard. Here's what you can say about the Obama administration. Speak softly and carry a very tiny, shriveled up and worthless stick. Or speak eloquently and carry a very, very tiny, little, shriveled up stick. You'll recall in 2013, Barack Obama drew a red line when it came to using chemical weapons, the Syrian Assad's regime, using chemical weapons against its own people.
We have been very clear to the Assad regime, but also to other players on the ground, that a red line for us is we start seeing a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around or being utilized.
Now, that press conference was followed by about 72 hours of hemming and hawing about the possibility of doing a Tomahawk missile strike in Syria, and ultimately relying on the word of Vladimir Putin that they were going to get rid of Syria's chemical weapons. Barack Obama, not soon thereafter the red line comment, Assad dropped chemical weapons and killed as many as 1,400 of his own people. Okay? This is typical boardroom or faculty lounge mental masturbation. This is how professorial types, the United Nations, this is how they deal with despots. Neville Chamberlain, anyone? You know? Here's Marco Rubio. I believe this is on Fox and Friends this morning, talking about the Tomahawk missile cruise strikes.
Now they understand that there very well could be consequences. This morning, Bashar al-Assad and Vladimir Putin and Iran and Hezbollah and others understand they have a different cost-benefit analysis and risk assessment. Up until this point, they figured we can do whatever we want and nothing will happen to us other than some nasty letter from the UN. Now they understand that there very well could be consequences, including the loss of aircraft. It's not like Syria has the biggest air force in the world, and the loss of important and strategic facilities. I do think this will impact their behavior, especially in the short term. Now,
it should, and it will. You're going to get a bloody nose from the world's last superpower. I think this will change some behavior, because Assad has run roughshod over the United States government during Barack Obama's presidency. He's ignored. He's been using chemical weapons for the last 7 years on his people. Oh, and just an aside real quick. Where the hell do you suppose he got his chemical weapons? Where do you suppose he got them, kids? For all of those who said there were never any weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, I wonder where he got those weapons. He's not manufacturing, he just has them. Unless he's making them someplace and they're very well hid. They had to come from somewhere, kids. Here's Anderson Cooper and Marco Rubio talking about Russian involvement there.
What he's called negative consequences of military action in Syria, referring to prior action in Iraq and Libya. I'm wondering how you respond to that and what concerns you about the potential for Russian personnel on the ground, military personnel on the ground.
Well, I imagine they were not the ones targeted. But again, if the Russians are there on the ground assisting Assad in the commission of these heinous crimes, war crimes, they should answer for that. And they certainly have put themselves into harm's way. The second point that I would make with regards to all of this is the absurdity of the Russian position. I mean, with a straight face, they are arguing that these chemical weapons are actually because of the rebels, which is absurd. And the third point is Russia should be embarrassed and ashamed. They are the ones that are telling the world that there were no nerve agents, that there were no chemical weapons left. We know that for the better part of this year, Assad has been using chlorine bombs against innocent civilians and population centers. And now yesterday, a couple days ago, a nerve agent, sarin. And so the Russians have been covering for Assad. And if it were not for the Russians, Assad would not still be in power. And if it were not for the Russians, Assad would not have the capability and much less the gall to conduct the sort of attack that we saw just a couple days ago.
So that doesn't sound like a regime that wanted Donald Trump in the White House and would be willing to sabotage Hillary Clinton's run. Does it? Donald Trump has been hawkish about Russia for a long time. Hillary Clinton presented was it an ambassador or the premier with a button that was supposed to be a reset button. It actually meant overcharge. Barack Obama said, "Tell Vladimir, I will have more flexibility after the election." Russia knew that Barack Obama, under the command of Barack Obama, the United States was a paper tiger. They knew through Hillary Clinton's just incompetence, utter incompetence as the Secretary of State, the better choice to be in the White House would be Hillary Clinton because they could continue this. Now they got Donald Trump in the White House. Look what Donald Trump did in the first, 78 days in office? A military strike in reaction to a poison gas attack by Syria. No holds barred. Knock it off. I'm behind this. Do I want us to get involved in a war again? No, and I don't think Donald Trump wants us to get involved in a war in the Middle East. But there are times that you have to do the right thing. I think we did the right thing. I think we did the right thing this time. Anyway, there is a Russian frigate heading toward the area where the Tomahawks were released. And in the words of Hancock, as played by Will Smith, you sure you want to ride this train? I've seen that movie a dozen times. Hey, today's show is made possible with help from GrassMonstersKansasCity.com. GrassMonstersKC.com. Andrew Cook is a personal friend, and they sell mowers that are they are the best in the world. They've got Dixie choppers. I've got one in my garage. It is a spectacular stainless steel and quarter-inch steel rig. It's magnificent. American-made, these lawnmowers. They have the Excalibur, which is a commercial mower, the classic. The Silver Eagle, which I have. The Z2, which is a smaller lawnmower for your lawn, and the Black Hawk. The new Black Hawk is ridiculous. And the great thing about the Black Hawk is you can actually lift the mowing deck and sharpen the blades without having to put your mower up on car ramps. You can actually do it all yourself. It makes maintenance of your mower really good, really easy. And by the way, they take care of all of the service. And the Black Hawk is a 5-year bumper-to-bumper, blade-to-blade warranty. It's pretty amazing. Oh, and they just got Hustler mowers in. Hustler mowers, another fantastic mower brand. They're made in Kansas. American-made mowers you won't believe. My neighbor last night, he was out mowing the yard for the very first time. Couldn't get his mower started. So I offered him my push mower. And he took it over, and he had let it go. He hasn't mowed yet. So the grass was 8 inches high. And he couldn't get through it. So I said, all right, I'm done. I went out, fired up the Silver Eagle 60-inch mowing deck, and I went over, and I mowed his yard. And, I mean, we took it down. It was like getting a crew cut after you're a hippie, right? It took me literally 5 minutes. He said, what are you doing for supper on Sunday? I'm taking care of you. To the rescue. Dixie chopper. Don't also forget to check the new Hustler mowers at Grass Monsters. Just go to Grass Monsters KC, Grass Monster KC. They're on Raytown Road in Raytown. You're going to love them. You're going to love them. Timeline of events in Syria, by the way. August 18th, 2011, President Obama called on Assad to resign and orders Syrian government assets frozen. So there was that. Fighting went to spread to Aleppo in summer of 2012. August of 2012, Obama says the use of chemical weapons would be a red line that would change his calculus in interfering in the civil war and have enormous consequences. Never had any consequences. Strongly worded letters are not consequences, kids. Strongly worded, well, they're worthless. August 21st, 2013, hundreds of people suffocate in rebel-held suburbs of the Syrian capital. Convulsions, pinpoint pupils, foaming at the mouth. All right? Ground-to-ground missiles loaded with sarin. That is literally one day after Barack Obama said there would be a red line. One day. Can you believe that? It took a day for people to go, it's not going to happen. On September 27, 2013, UN Security Council orders Syria to account for and destroy its chemical weapons stockpile. The Security Council threatened to authorize the use of force in the event of non-compliance. Oh, they were just laughing in our faces. August 2016, the joint OPCW UN panel determined that Syrian government twice used helicopters to deploy chlorine gas against its opponents in civilian areas in Idlib province. April 4th, 2017, 58 people killed in what doctors said could be a nerve gas attack in the town of Khan Shakun in the rebel-held Idlib province. Victims showed sign of suffocation, convulsions, foaming at the mouth, and pupil constriction. April 4th, 2017, President Donald Trump issued a statement saying that the heinous actions of Assad's government are the direct result of Obama administration's weakness and irresolution. And then April 5th, Trump said Assad's government had crossed the lines. April 6th, tomahawk chop, baby. Tomahawk chop. In January, Susan Rice, who is a serial liar, assured NPR The Obama administration had removed all the chemical weapons from Syria. This is hilarious. According to a recent headline in Reuters, U.S. intelligence agencies suspect Assad did not turn over all chemical weapons stockpiles. Back in January, Susan Rice was asked about it. She says, we were able to find a solution that didn't necessitate the use of force that actually removed the chemical weapons that were known from Syria in a way that the use of force would never have accomplished. Our aim in completing the use of force following the use of chemical weapons in August of 2013 was not to intervene in the civil war, not to become involved in the combat between Assad and the opposition, but to deal with the threat of chemical weapons by virtue of the diplomacy, Chamberlain, that we did with Russia and with the Security Council. We were able to get the Syrian government to voluntarily and verifiably give up its chemical weapons stockpile. Oh, my God. Naked and utter incompetence. This is what makes the decision that Donald Trump made yesterday more appealing to me. When I first heard the story last night, it was a little troubling. Here we go again. Here we go again. Last night, I actually did an hour live podcast. And this is interesting. I think this is going to be interesting for millennials because, when I was 25 years old, Desert Storm. When my son was an infant, then we had the invasion of Iraq with George W. Bush. Millennials have been focusing on safe spaces and the effects of words and offense. So I delivered this message on the podcast last night to millennials who are welcoming in definitely a new era as far as a president, because most of their, formative years, 8 years of their lives, if you're 18 to 34, were spent with a limp-wristed, poorly prepared president with regard to international crisis. You've seen the world fall apart. You've seen the rise of ISIS. You've seen Syria fall apart. And then the economy was terrible. So to millennials who are curling up in a ball in their parents' basement, this is like, what? Here's what I said last night.
Good night, and God bless America and the entire world. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap things up here, guys. I'll never forget when Desert Storm took place. I was 25 years old. And I was concerned. I was frightened because, I didn't go through Vietnam. I didn't have to be drafted. I was concerned, what's going to happen with me and my generation. I remember, I'll never forget, last time I really partied in Westport, I was up there and there were a bunch of guys going over to Iraq for Desert Storm. We freaking owned it. We owned it. Since then, we've gone through September the 11th. We've gone through the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan. I know many of you disagree with that. Millennials, you haven't dealt with this before. I respect you. I don't think you're all a bunch of snowflakes. But welcome to the real world, kids. Welcome to the real world, 18 to 34-year-olds. This is the real world. This is how we deal with despotism. This is how we deal with inhumanity. We go in and we fucking kick ass. Right? Pray for our soldiers. Pray for those who have been there. Pardon the F-bomb there, by the way. But, it's not as bad as a chemical bomb. Pray for those who have finally had their hands unbound to do something positive for humanity in the name of freedom and humanity and the United States of America. Right? I don't want to sound too preachy, but millennials, welcome. This could be the very beginning of a coming of age for your generation and a realization that the world is not populated with safe spaces. Nope. Okay? It's not. And when spaces are invaded by space invaders, by despots who would use chemical weapons on children and families, you have to buck up and say, we're going to take you out. We're going to take you out. Okay? Say a prayer for our our leaders, including Mr. Donald J. Trump, even if you don't like him. Pray for our military and pray for those who would have been victimized and would be victimized by the Assad regime and any despotic regime in the world. Okay? So, interesting night. Thanks for chiming in. Okay. So that's what I said last night about it. And welcome to it. You know, outside of the campus, and not a lot of safe spaces, kids. Not a lot of safe spaces out there. We live in a very scary world. We live in a world where many would like to kill us and take our real estate. All right? I have a T-shirt. We're putting in our T-shirt line. We got a line of T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, and I think we're going to do mouse pads too. And I'll put it up on the Facebook page and the Twitter feed so you can order because they're spectacular. Got this brilliant graphic designer, Sam Cangelosi. Well, we have one, and it's a response to that idiotic coexist bumper sticker that everybody has on their Priuses. And it says I take the iconic, coexist filled with religious symbols. And I said, you can't coexist when some want to kill you. That's just it. Okay? You can sing, all we're saying is give peace a chance, but Kim Jong-un doesn't give a crap about that. Assad doesn't give a crap about it. No, they don't. They live in the real world. There are no safe spaces in Russia. There are no safe spaces in North Korea. There are no safe spaces in Syria. There are no safe spaces in Afghanistan. It's a cruel-ass world, kids. This is in the Sun in the UK. World War III fears. Kim Jong-un declares he's on the brink of war with U.S. as Donald Trump is urged to assassinate him. He says he's placed his country on the brink of war, and I think that country would fold like an origami swan if they decided to go up against us. The thing that I said when Donald Trump was running for president, I said that I thought that, and I had to do a lot of convincing. And, talking to myself about why Donald Trump would be a good choice rather than Ted Cruz or rather than Marco Rubio. And I thought that one of the things he would do is surround him with great people and let them do what they do. Right now, our Secretary of Defense, James Mattis, he's there for a reason. He's there for a reason. He is a serious man, and he's dealing in a serious fashion with a very serious world. We've also got Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State. I know, old white guys, but damn. They know what's going on. They know how to give what for to those who would do things like use poison gas on children. Let's move on to other stuff. Hillary Clinton is blaming misogyny for her election defeat. She was at a summit, I guess, and it was the Woman in the World Summit on Thursday. She was asked, why she lost, essentially, and she said certainly misogyny played a role. I mean, that has to be admitted. No, it doesn't. Honestly, your party doesn't realize the advances that women have made in the world and the advances that men have made in their perceptions of powerful women. All right? Nobody I know looked at Margaret Thatcher for her genitalia. We just looked at her as a great world leader. A great world leader. I don't give a crap about your genitalia. This is so stupid. I hate this. These are the same people who say that, women are only paid 70 cents on the dollar. It's a lie. It's not true. Unless you actually work for Elizabeth Warren, Hillary Clinton, or worked for Barack Obama. Then it was true. Clinton's comments were in response to the question why she lost the election. Like in any case, as she said, like in any campaign, there are so many different cross-currents and events, and some have a greater impact than others. It's not the first time that Clinton blamed her unpopularity on supposed sexism. During the Democrat Party primaries in April last year, Clinton reportedly justified her favorability ratings as a result of sexism. No, you just suck. You are a lousy, crooked, lying candidate. You can't be trusted. And you and your husband are awful people. Absolutely wretched, awful people. You did not embrace the heartland of America. You did not listen to those who were crying out in coal country, in areas that had always been known for manufacturing. You didn't listen. Instead, you chose to listen to Lady Gaga and Bruce Springsteen and Katy Perry. You didn't lose because you have a vagina, woman. Get over it. Last September, Barack Obama blamed Clinton's low poll numbers on the notion that society is still grappling with what it means to see powerful women. These are the people who want to drag us back to 1968 with regard to race and 1919 with regard to sex. Another former president, Bill Clinton, also argued that sexist men, lip-biting sexual assaulter, Bill Clinton, would not vote for his wife because they couldn't fess up to the idea of having a woman president. You, my friend, have nothing to say about women and your treatment of women. If anybody doesn't believe that women can, well, I don't know what to say, perform, it's you. You only look at a mouth and a vagina and a chest and a rear end and a box of cigars. And then, of course, another thing that Hillary Clinton did was describe half of the American people as a basket of deplorables. I don't think that helped either. No, not much. Ben Carson is head of the Housing and Urban Development Department. Now, this is pretty cool. For those of you who say that we can't cut government, we just, there's just not enough to cut there, et cetera. Listen to this. First thing he did was order an audit of the agency. You want to know what they found? You want to know the amount of money in bookkeeping errors alone that they found at HUD? $520 billion. $520 billion. How many houses could have been provided? Hell, you could build a house for every freaking poor person in this country. Get them one of those tiny houses. $520 billion. The total amounts of errors corrected in HUD's notes and consolidated financial statements were $516 billion and $3.4 billion, respectively. Cut away. Everybody's freaking out about Donald Trump. Cutting government, cutting this, cutting that, cutting the EPA, cutting public broadcasting. Cut away. Slice and dice, baby. Take the salad shooter to it. Oh, Bill O'Reilly. His ratings are going up with the scandal. 20 advertisers pulled out of the show, and ratings are up. O'Reilly Factor topped all of cable news with an average of 628,000 people, adults 25-54, blah, blah, blah. 3.76 total million viewers. So an audience increase of 20% from last Tuesday. All right? So things are up. Maybe there's a curiosity factor. Maybe there's a defense factor. O'Reilly is, it's a juggernaut. It's been number one for years. Its biggest competition, a former lead out, was eliminated in January with Megyn Kelly's abrupt move to NBC, and I don't miss her at all, by the way. O'Reilly averaged, well, I'm not going to get into the ratings, but yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was looking at it from tainted glasses because I don't really like Bill O'Reilly, and I think anytime you pay $13 million to 5 people, and then also Gretchen Carlson was paid $20 million to shut up about Roger Ailes. You immediately want to convict the guy. And, I don't know. He is the target of a lot of people. He is hated and despised by the rest of media. And they would love to see him go down. CNN would love to see him go down. MSNBC would love to see him go down. Although I don't think Rachel Maddow would want him to go down. So do I think he should be fired? No, whatever. Do you need to decide whether you want to watch him? Yeah, of course. Do advertisers need to decide whether they want to advertise? Yeah, okay. Angie's List revealed on Wednesday they would not be pulling their ads from Bill O'Reilly's show. They're standing by him. We place ads across a wide spectrum of venues intending to reach as many viewers, listeners, readers as possible without taking a position on the viewpoints of the venues themselves. Well, there you go. That's what it is, man. It's all about money, baby. Some other Allstates, Advil, Bausch & Lomb, Ancestry.com. These are all, they've all pulled out GlaxoSmithKline, Geico, H&R Block, Hyundai, Infinity, Invisalign, Jaguar. These are in alphabetical order in case you didn't know. Oh, back up to BMW. That's out of order. Land Rover, LegalZoom, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, Orkin, Pacific Life, Propane Council. I love their ads. I miss those. Ready Whip. Oh, man. Just an aside on Ready Whip, I want to ask you a question. Can of Ready Whip. The last time you bought it, did you use it for dessert or something else? We used to use it as something else, but then I got married for 20 years. Now it's just dessert. Just dessert. True car, Voya, blah, blah, blah. All right. But Angie's List is saying, nope, we staying with them. Maxine Waters is gone bat guano crazy. Just bat, I'll just go ahead and say bat-shit crazy. Came up with a sound effect for her. There you go. See what I did there? Bat-shit. Okay. You know, some men never leave their 14-year-old sense of humor behind. I'm one of those people. She's saying that he needs to go to jail. She has got, oh my God, she's nuts. She is just nuts. Now, the other day he said that when she was on the floor of the Senate, of the Senate, the House, that he couldn't focus on her words, partially because they're nonsense, generally, but also because she has a James Brown wig, and that really got her panties in a bunch. Ooh, boy, don't even think about Maxine Waters' panties. Anyway, here she is talking with Chris Hayes about why O'Reilly should go to jail.
Allegations of sexual harassment, numerous settlements on that score, outstanding ones as well. The president saying this of Mr. O'Reilly, I think he's a person I know well. He's a good person. I think he shouldn't have settled. Personally, I think he shouldn't have settled because you should have taken it all.
I'm waiting for his voice to drop when he goes through puberty.
I don't think Bill did anything wrong. What do you make of that?
Well, it's coming out of the mouth of a man who has said some horrible things about women. Don't forget, he talked about grabbing women in their private parts.
Yes, but he didn't grab them by the private parts like Bill Clinton did.
And because he was important, he could get away with it. And so they are two of a kind. And so I'm not surprised that he stood up and tried to defend Bill O'Reilly. But it's all catching up with Bill O'Reilly and that sexual harassment enterprise that they created over there at Fox.
I don't. Did Trump bang an intern in his office and have a cigar involved?
And it's catching up with them, and you have over 30 advertisers.
Definitely have to trim that off with a cutter. That's not smokable.
Who have taken away their advertising. They're not wanting to do business with them anymore because of the way that they have created this record of sexual harassment. They have treated women very badly. And so I understand the Justice Department has opened a case. They're taking a look at
Man, she's just flailing about. She is just flailing about.
Them because this really is a sexual harassment enterprise.
Harassment?
It shouldn't be in America that
Did she say more ass?
You can sexually harass women and then buy your way out of it because you're rich.
Let me see. I think Bill Clinton paid Paula Jones about $3 million.
If they continue to do this in the way that they have done, they need to go to jail. You know, the president's over there talking today about Susan Rice going to jail.
Yes.
They need to go to jail.
Yes.
Bill O'Reilly needs to go to jail.
Come on in jail.
So I just want you to know that the president didn't do himself any good standing up for Bill O'Reilly. And where was Ivanka? She's supposed to be his advisor. She's supposed to be the one that's standing up for women. Right. I think she either advised him wrong or she's absent.
Wow, this is a woman pushing 80 years old. Visiting angels, anyone? I don't know. Anyway, I think this is gonna do it for this episode of the podcast. I think we're gonna say time to move on. All right. Yeah, I think we're gonna say, hey, you know what? 67 was pretty great. 68's gonna be better. You know that 69 is gonna be awesome. Okay, I know. Back to the fourth grade humor. Thanks for listening, guys. Oh, a special thank you again to Grass Monsters KC, grassmonsterskc.com. Also, I want to thank my friends at redmaryland.com. Redmaryland.com is a blog in the state of Maryland, and they've been featuring my podcasts regularly. It is an honor. It is an honor and a privilege. Coming to that podcast, we are going to be doing politically incorrect T-shirts, hats, tanks, mugs, mouse pads, Maryland-centric. We're also doing some from Missouri, for the Missouri Times. You're going to be able to order this terrific merchandise, and you're going to love it. You're going to love it. In the meantime, God bless our soldiers. God bless America. God bless you for listening. Please make sure to check out the website, robcarsonshow.com, Facebook at Rob Carson Show, and Twitter at Rob Carson. See you for episode number 68. Coming up soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram. I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.